I signed up for my butt being on camera, so, you know, that's part of it for me. All right, let's play around a little bit. So I was telling a little story about I was bobbing around the water a couple days ago, and I'm usually out there by myself, so I got plenty of time to like think about different things. But when I was paddling out, I wasn't like really paying attention when I went over the wave. My mouth was open, and like I took a mouth of water, and I was like instantly it popped in my brain. I was like, what's the first thing that you learned? Like the first thing my mom told me going out in the waves, she was like, keep your mouth shut, right? Keep your mouth closed, right? And like I had to go back all the way to the essence, right? The first time I went in the ocean, and like I'm pretty comfortable in the ocean in almost all the conditions, so it's not like I haven't been there, right? But you forget like some of the simplest of things. And I think that's like the stuff with yoga. Like I watch all the time, and I know in my own practice, it's easy to be like, right? And this is totally out of alignment. I'm peeling my arm away from my shoulder. I have no integration, right? Sometimes something simple like the basics of putting your hands down, right? And setting the root and the foundation are gonna be where it's at, right? Because if you take that mouthful of water, you ain't doing shit, right? You're choking. And that's the same thing on your practice. If you don't set up the foundation and then you go for extension, right? It's just gonna crumble. So think about that. I know most of your practices in here, right? And they're beautiful, and I always make that little, like, I'll make that little cue. I'll be like, this is Yoga 101 or something, right? But like, remember, we gotta go back, right, to move forward sometimes. We're not staying back here, we're just recognizing, right, and noticing. Same thing in your feet. In Tadasana, I tend to teach from Tadasana. So all my poses I'm trying to represent Tadasana in some way, whether it's the feet parallel, or whether it's the legs straight, or the upper trunk, something's gonna resemble, right, mountain pose. So think about that when you go in your practice. It sounds easy to do this, right? But after a couple million years, we're like this. So it's not that easy, right? It's actually pretty challenging. So come on, let's give it a try. Let's play. So take a nice seat, close the eyes. What's the true root, the real essence here? Your breath, right? The one thing that you can count on from the moment that you were until the moment you'll be something else is your breath. So it has to mean something more to us than just air going in and out of our body. And it does. We're going to use it in many ways today. The first thing we're going to use it for is to stay right here in this moment, the middle of the hourglass. We're going to use it to engage ourselves, to create muscle energy. We're going to use it to soften and release organic energy. We're going to use them between each other, in those middle spaces, in those transitions. So here, in the simplest way, you just listen to your breath. The one we say is your true breath, the one you really work for is your exhale. The inhale has gravity in an open cavity, an empty cavity that it's going to help assist to pull air into. But the exhale, you have to engage muscles. You have to push. You don't feel your diaphragm, but you're going to feel the belly draw in. You're going to feel the ribs compress, and it's going to push the air out. When you popped out, the first thing that had to happen was your lungs are full of fluid. So you got to clear that out. And then the air gets sucked in, and then you push back out. So that's why these little refinements, like what we're going to do is, on the exhale, it tends to taper off. It'll be something like, and we want it to be, right, equal from the beginning to the end. The inhale, we're going to tend to gasp the breath. So it's going to be like, so we want to slow it down and lengthen the breath out. Now the breath is going to start to fall into rhythm with our heart rate. It's all going to come together. But we're going to find a couple more refinements to get us in that optimal position. So we're going to count out the breath. If the exhale was 2 or 3 seconds, make the inhale the same 2 or 3 seconds. So we have balance. Maybe find Ujjayi breath as the air begins to rebound off the back of the throat. Control of the breath. Lean back a little bit. Feel those sit bones root. Outsides of the feet. And now it's below the waist. Now breathe above the waist. Feel the upper trunk starting to expand. top to bottom, right? Front to back, side to side, like a cylinder, all directions. Let the head and the throat slide back a little bit. Let the chin come down just a touch. And now breathe. Feel how you can hold that space. As the breath turns to movement, on the next inhale, let the arms lift. And let the exhale bring the fingertips and the knuckle pads to root. The heels of the hands lightly touch. And now the breath goes to that space between our palms. And we say it travels down our arms into the back of our heart. And from the back of our heart, out in front of us. The song of our breath, together. The sound of Om, all together. Deep breath in. Beautiful. As we softly bow our head to our hearts, our heads to each other's hearts. Inhale, lift the head, open the eyes, release the hands. All right, let's start out all fours, hands and knees. So hands are an inch or two or so in front of the shoulders, knees an inch or two behind the hips. So here's those hands, right? We want the pointer fingers to be straight forward or turned out just a little bit. We don't want them to be turned in. We spread our fingers evenly, right? So we set those roots, because without the roots, right, where are we going to build? We can't. Now, as you claw the floor, you're going to get heavy underneath your fingertips. That's here. And your knuckle pads. So if your finger bones come up, that's okay. Here's the root. Here's the root. The heel of the hand's going to lightly touch the ground. You're going to do that by hugging the forearms in, and you're going to feel that the heels of the hands get light. Now pull that energy up the arms. Start to squeeze your biceps. Bring it up into the shoulders. Bring it up into the upper back and the chest. In the legs, sweep the inner heels out, because we're going to try to do this. So we sweep those inner heels out. Then we hug the shins in. Now pull your heels to your butt. So right now your legs are super engaged. Low mountain. Belly to spine. Shutters are closed. And breathe. Feel that expansion coming through the ribs. Feel the side body. So from hips to armpit getting longer. And keep hugging in. This is what we call an isometric engagement. So you're hugging muscle to bone without movement. And now use that space to work your cat-cow. So inhale, you're going to arch the back. Lift the sit bones, reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, you're going to round your back. Yep, lengthen, look towards your belly, lengthen your sit bones towards your heels. Your inhale, arch. Your exhale, round. Now, put it with your breath. So if it's 2 seconds to inhale, it's going to take 2 seconds to go through that full arch. There's going to be 2 seconds to exhale, 2 seconds to round into the upper back. Just move with your breath. Undulating through the spine here. We want to get root the shoulders here on the inhale. See how the shoulders, the arms root real deep into the shoulders. And then here I blossom the back body, like my sit bones, right, are going to spread. Now when I look to my belly on that exhale, I'm going to get a little cervical and a little thoracic, so my neck and my upper back. Lumbar is going to be from lengthening my sit bones towards the backs of my knees. Let's go one more through. See if you can tap into those areas a little bit deeper. And then come to a neutral position, so find that flat back. Then take the knees back a couple inches, come to puppy dog. Puppy dog's going to be this version, hips stacked up on top of the knees. Sometimes you see this version. I like this one better because it's more like a non-weight bearing downward or a little less weight bearing downward dog. Now this is the common tendency that the shutters blow out and something like this happens. So right away, pull your belly in and pull your shutters closed. If you're not sure what your shutters are, right here, okay, the bottom of my ribs, the shutters want to blow open. I got to close them. So I get a big engagement in the upper ab. Now, hug the hands in like we did before, but now lift the forearms up from the mat. Lift the inner biceps up from the mat. It's going to feel like your shoulders are moving out away from your ears. Pull the belly and the shutters closed, and now soften your chest towards the mat. Feel the difference as you stretch here as compared to losing those shutters and then collapsing down to the mat. Then look forward, TP the fingers on your right hand, thread your left hand underneath with the palm up. So take this little twist here. These moves are going to happen in your thoracic spine, your middle upper back. So we don't want that left hip to drop under on us. That's below the waist. We want to push into our left knee. We want to put the power up into that left hip. Then we want to breathe forward out of the waist so the spine gets tall. And then maybe even take your right elbow to the sky. Start to open the right side of the chest to the ceiling a little bit further. And then inhale, come back to center. Soften down the middle. And then TP the fingers on that left hand. And right hand underneath. Now I try to bring the back of my shoulder to the mat the best that I can. But see, this is the common tendency where the hip's going to go with me. So I got to sweep the inner heel out. I got to push down into that knee on the right side. I got to fire up my legs and my hips. I got to breathe forward out of the spine. Then take the elbow to the sky, start to maybe twist open a little bit deeper. And then inhale, come back to center. Soften down the middle. Next inhale, come up, all fours, hands and knees. Set up that low mountain because we're going to extend on it. So nice and strong here. And then right arm up and left leg back for spinal balance. The thumb's going to point up, fingers are spread. Toes going to point down. Even toes are spread. Exhale, lower. Left arm up, right leg back. Now see in the leg here, I want to kick the leg back. I don't want to lift my heel to the sky here. I'm not trying to fire low spinal erectors. I'm trying to extend out of the hip. Exhale, lower. Right arm up, left leg back. So you want to reach out of your heel. Keep lifting from the inner upper edge of the forearm, inner upper edge of the thigh. Exhale, lower. Left arm up, right leg back. Now, as you reach the heel back, reach the fingertips forward, reach the crown of the head forward, and breathe side to side. Exhale, lower, put it with your breath. Inhale, right arm up, left leg back. Exhale, lower. Inhale, left arm up, right leg back. Exhale, lower. Now, stay with your breath. I always try to stay ahead of you just a little bit, right? So you know where you're going. Stay with your breath. When you take the leg back and the arm forward, pull the shutters closed because this wants to happen, and I got to be here. Let's go one more each side. We'll meet back in that all fours. Take a breath here. Step back to plank. So in plank, my shoulders are stacked up on top of my wrist crease, and I'm reaching out of my heels like this. I'm not here, and I'm definitely not here. I'm never here. I'm going to go from here. When I go chaturanga, I'm going to go to here. This is like Tadasana. Now, keep reaching your heels back. If your shoulders are if you're too long, then your shoulders aren't going to line up, so you tiptoe forward. Now lift the hips, push back, downward dog. So I do that a couple reasons with y'all. I have you step back to plank first, myself included. Because one, we're going to set up the distance there. So everything's going to line up when we start to put them together. And then two, the more that you hold that position, you feel the energy, the muscle energy starting to collect. Right? And we're going to use that now. So keep pushing down into your hands. Keep lifting the forearms and the inner biceps up. Yeah, so we got power in the arms and the shoulders, up into the chest and the upper back. In your legs, you're going to sweep your inner heels out. That's going to go to your glutes. You're going to hug your shins in. That's going to be your inner thighs. You're going to pull your heels to your butt. It's going to be your hamstrings. Now keep that. Pull your kneecaps up to your waist. And as you push your hands down and forward, your chest's going to go back to your toenails. Now start to stretch from the hips down the back of the legs and out of the bottom of the heels. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, back to downward dog. Inhale, come forward to plank. Keep reaching your heels back. Exhale, back to downward dog. Keep going. We're going to do 5. Stay with your breath. But remember, your breath is probably 2 or 3 seconds for an inhale. 2 or 3 seconds for an exhale. That means for 2 seconds, you got to drive forward into plank. For 2 seconds, you got to push back to downward dog. Now, this is my last one. When it's your last one, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, baby cobra. Take 3 nice breaths. So you can stay low here, right? Some of you are going to want to come up a little bit higher. It's not a right or wrong, wherever you want to play. But shoulders go back and down away from the ears. When you're ready, lower the chest. Push up through plank. Back to downward dog. Now, if you want your knees bent in downward dog, it's going to make it a little more accessible. Go for it. If you're going to straighten your legs, remember, engage them first, then start to stretch. Inhale, come forward to plank. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, baby Take those 3 nice breaths. We're holding so that we can peel the chest, but more importantly, we can engage that upper back. And then after your 3 breaths, back to chaturanga or lower your chest. Push up through plank, back to down. Nice, y'all. Reach the right leg straight back, step it through, lunge. So I'm nice and high on my fingertips or my blocks. Right, because see this, I'm not trying to reinforce this round upper back, right? Remember Tadasana? So what's representing Tadasana here? Well, my foot and my shin, right? That's pretty much Tadasana. My back leg, I'm just in a little bit of extension here, right? My upper trunk. So this isn't Tadasana, right? But this is. There's the spine. Yep. Now charge the legs, push down. Now pull your front heel back and your back toes forward. You can feel the legs engaging. Keep hugging the shins in. You can feel the legs pulling more power up. From your junk, like your pelvic floor, that's root chakra. Pull that up. Pull your belly in. Pull your shutters closed. Yep. Heart. Throat. This is the chakras coming up. Gaze, you're looking out in front of you. Yep. Reach through the crown of the head. And now inhale, come up, Virabhadrasana, 1 crescent. If this front knee moved back, bend back into it so it stays on top of the ankle. If this left heel peeled, square it back forward. Now pull up again from that root chakra. Take it even beyond the crown. Reach up through your thumbs, because now we can play. We can curl back. 1 more breath. Exhale the hands down. Keep the left hand down. Draw the right elbow back. Maybe take the twist. Now keep lifting that left thigh up, but soften the right one down so you're trying to get it parallel with the floor. Keep spinning that left shoulder back. Maybe start to look up to the sky. Inhale, come back to center. Place the hand down. Take a breath. When you're ready, step back, downward dog. Inhale, come forward to plank. Work on your breath. Exhale, lower, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, baby cobra. Exhale, lower back to chaturanga or lower your chest. Push up through plank. Back to downward dog. Reach the left leg straight back. Step it through, lunge. So hug that knee to your chest as you're taking it through. Now, let's say I started here, right? And I feel like I can control this space, then I want to lower the blocks a little bit. I can control this space, maybe I'm going to go a little bit lower. I can control this space, maybe I'll work down towards the floor. But it's all about the alignment, right? What's going on with the spine? For me, in this moment, the blocks just feel a little bit easier. I want to use easy, a little more accessible, because none of this shit's easy, right? It just makes it a little more accessible for me. Now start charging it up. So we're pushing down and hugging in, right? It's all about that hug in. But now the expression here is heel back, knee forward, yeah. Crown of the head forward, and then inhale, come up, Vira 1 crescent. And then as you work those chakras, that's the heat coming up the body, right? So you feel it, all this coming up. But then we work to create and hold that space, so now we can play in it. Maybe as you curl back, the back of the heart's lifting up through the front of the chest. Maybe you start to look up. 1 more breath. Now control it. Remember the 2 or 3 seconds as the hands go down. Yep. Then the right hand stays down. Remember the 2 or 3 seconds. Draw the elbow back. It's almost like slow motion. Yeah. Then maybe start to reach up towards the sky. But everything's with the breath. It's not like you're trying to move slow. You're just trying to work with your breath. 1 more. And then inhale, come back to center. Place the hand down. Step back, downward dog. So you feel the slower you go, right? The more you're able to connect to that. Work through your vinyasa 1 time. The faster we go, the more it's able to unwind. Now, as we link poses together, your heart rate's going to start to come up. The breath's going to have to move faster. That's part of it. Look forward, bend your knees, step or jump between your hands, swing your arms up, take a nice big reach. Pull the belly in, take the sit bones down. Bring the hands down by the side, Tadasana, mountain pose. So look at all my muscles. Every muscle is hugging in. If you tried to come up and move me, I'm going nowhere, right? I'm solid here. In a couple seconds, my legs are going to start shaking, right? Because the muscles, I'm hugging in so much. That's what you're trying to do. Keep squeezing. Yep. If only we could hold this space all day long, right? And then sit back as the knees bend, swing the arms up. Nice, y'all. One of those poses seem real easy, right? Right hand grabs the left wrist. But what do we come from? We come from this. Shit looks a lot harder now, right? When you're coming from this. Inhale, come back up, swap. So I'm still in Tadasana. My legs are still squeezing, right? I'm still pulling up through the core, but I'm just now working a little variation here. Take the arms back a little more. Yep, take the head and the throat back. But keep those shutters closed. Inhale, come up. Exhale, release the hands behind your back. Still in Tadasana. Take a big breath here before you pull the shoulders back. And then exhale, draw them back. Yep, maybe let the hands come away from your back a little bit. Let it run up the arms. Remember, if y'all are too hot or cold, work it, or the fans. And then release the hands, sit back as the knees bend, swing the arms up, take a big reach. Curl back that little bit. Inhale, come up, exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward. Okay, so here's the half fold. So here's where we're going to check to make sure the roots are set in the feet. So spread your toes. You want to root the heel. You want to root the ball of the foot. For almost all of us, we're going to lift the inner arches up, and we're going to bring a little bit extra weight to the outer edge of the foot, because for most of us, our arches want to collapse. So we're going to work up the feet, up the legs. Now, as you see the arches come back to life, you'll notice that the middle of your ankle is in line with your second toe, the one next to your big toe. That's exactly what we want. Now, keep your legs charged. Drag your fingers back towards your toes. It's going to feel like you're pulling your spine out of your waist. Now, go ahead and dive deep into that pose. Nice, y'all. Keep the legs straight. If you need to, stay higher on the block or stay more out in front in like half fold so that you get that nice length coming up the back body here. That's your back fascial line, so it's going to go from underneath your foot, up your calf, your hamstring, and up your spinal erectors. Sit back as the knees bend, swing the arms up, big reach. Maybe curl back on it a little bit. Keep letting the back of the heart lift up. Yeah, so we're curling back under our shoulder blades, not in our lumbar spine, in our low back. Inhale, come up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, place the hands, step or jump back, downward dog. Move through your vinyasa 3 times. And that just means stay with your breath. Like in this instance in life, 2 seconds is a long time. There's a lot of shit that you can work on in 2 seconds in yoga. Sometimes in life, 2 seconds is nothing, right? It flies right by. But here, there's a lot. We'll meet back in downward dog. Reach the right leg straight back, step it through. Spin the back heel down, walk your hands to the inside of that right foot. Now you want to be on a balance beam, so if you look at your front heel, it should be in line with your back arch, like if you drew a line down the mat. Now stick your butt back on the left side. You're going to take that left thigh back. We want that. Hold it there. Now climb that elbow to the knee. Pull the belly button towards the spine. It's going to open up the hip flexors. Maybe go, you can bring the left arm in front, sweep it up. Now we'll start to open the inner thigh because the knee wants to fall in, right? Because these are the muscles we're stretching. So you're going to push down in your feet. You're going to hug in so you feel like you're lifting up out of your waist a little bit. Yeah, we're not collapsing down. Now go right sit bone towards right heel. Or sweep your heel to the left and your knee is going to peel towards the brick wall. Maybe take your hand down to the block or the floor here. Extend it down. Yeah. Inside the foot, a little more accessible. Behind the foot, a little more challenging. Now maybe look up, play with it. Push into that front heel. Inhale comes up in the warrior two. Push the front leg straight. Breathe and get nice and tall. Keep this left thigh back. Hinge at the hip, come into triangle, Trikonasana. Make sure there's a micro bend in the knees so we don't hyperextend. Keep opening up that right side body so we don't side crescent. Now pull the belly and the shutters closed. Now maybe rotate, so take the top of the ribs back, the bottom of the ribs forward, maybe even start to look up the arm. One more breath. Bend into that lead knee, warrior two. Bring that gaze right over the middle finger. And then spin the hands down to the floor. Spin the back heel up. Move through one vinyasa. Nice, y'all. What do I always say about those moments in class? It's hard. Right? It's meant to be hard. That's why we just linked up multiple poses. Right? We're challenging ourselves in that. Reach the left leg straight back. Step it through, lunge. Now, we're breaking this down a little bit, right? Because spin the back heel, walk the hands to the inside of that left foot. This thigh always wants to pop forward. So we're taking a couple extra breaths here, right, to root and get some of these foundations set. Then when you're ready, climb the elbow to the knee and just pause. Now pull the belly button towards the spine and start to open up those hip flexors. Yep. Then the arm comes in front, plug it in, sweep the bicep up along the cheek. Now we start to open the inside of that left thigh. So left sit bone the left heel, or sweep your heel towards the brick wall, and the knee will open towards the wall with the window and the door. And then connect to the core, so belly and shutters is where I'm really talking about. Now start to rotate open. That's maybe when you look up. When you look up, you should be looking right into your bicep. One more breath. Push into that front heel. Inhale, come up, warrior two. Then push the front leg straight. Breathe and get nice and tall. Reroute the thigh if it pops forward. Hinge at the left side of the hip. Those hips are popping because you're not hugging your feet into the midline enough. So pull your feet to the center, like you're ripping your front heel back and your back arch forward. Then maybe start to rotate open. Breathe. Settle into the pose. Even in these times when it's challenging. Now push into that front foot. Come up tall. Yep. Then we bend into that lead knee. Warrior two. And then one breath. And then spin the hands down to the floor. Spin that back heel up. Downward dog. Move through one vinyasa. Nice, girl. Downward dog, exhale, lower your knees, sit back on your heels. Vajrasana, child's pose, grab a drink, take a little break, go for it. Child's pose, you can be down in, if I'm sitting here, Vajrasana is where I stretch open the toes and the arches. You could always bring your thumb and your pointer finger to touch, it's called Yana Mudra. And then you place the heel of your hand here at the crease of your hip, so your fingers drape over your thigh. And you can close your eyes. And breathe. Now, if this gets too intense for you on your feet, you just inhale, come up, and then you wiggle your toes a little bit, and then curl them and sit back again. If you're in child's pose, take a few more breaths. If you're grabbing a drink, right, whatever you're doing, a few more breaths here. But don't just let the weight bear down. Keep hugging in and feeling that there's a connection here. And then from here, inhale, open the eyes. Come all the way up. Release the hands. Wiggle those toes a little bit. Yep. And then spin around. Or we'll meet back all fours. I'm the one that has to spin. You all spin around and be facing the other side. So set it back up. Now, take a look at the hands. Right? Make sure they're set. Because they're sneaky. They'll do this in a second. Right? The path of least resistance will dominate everything. So sometimes you got to take an extra couple breaths and set it up. Now find that low mountain again. Sounds like a hangout pose, right? It's not. It should be full on right now. Every muscle hugging the bone. Then when you're ready, step back to plank just like we did before. Collect the energy. push back to downward dog. That extra second in plank just lets you hug in a little more. Now in downward dog, we're trying to get the weight to our legs. It's really hard when you're bearing the weight into your arms too much because our arms aren't meant to hold us up, right? Our legs, that's why our legs are the size they are. The muscles are like they are. And our arms, they are like they are. So what you want to do is when you push your hands down and forward and the chest goes back to the toenails, that's when the weight goes to the legs more. Now the pose gets a little easier. See, if you keep coming forward like to plank, it's going to get harder in your arms. Keep breathing. It's starting to get a little challenging because we're holding ourselves up. One more breath. Reach the right leg straight back. Step through. Lunge. Inhale, come up, Virabhadrasana 1. Pull the belly in. Pull the shutters closed. If you want to make it a little easier to come, you could always come here to your airplane, because from here we're going to step forward. Bring the knee up in front. Yep. Keep the sacrum back. It's going to try to do this. So keep back. Keep the heel heavy. Now maybe look up. Then the next challenge will be close your eyes. Now open your eyes. Now hinge at the hip. Float back. Yeah. And then exhale the hands down. Nice, y'all. Step back, downward dog. Take a breath. Reach the left leg straight back. Step it through, lunge. Set it up. When you're ready, inhale, come up, Virabhadrasana 1. So you want to push from your back foot to your front heel. So this kicks on the glutes and the hamstring to extend the hip. The knee comes up. Pull the belly in, pull the shutters closed. You should be able to move your toes on your left foot, not the ball of your foot, that's rooted. But your toes should be movable, not your heel. Your heel should be heavy. Now start to look up the wall, all the way till you get to the ceiling if that feels good to you. And then if you need to go further, close your eyes. Then open your eyes. Hinge at the hip. This will be more accessible, the airplane. Float back. Yeah, kick out of the heel. One breath. Yes. Then exhale the hands down. Nice, y'all. Step back, downward dog. We've been working on variations like that the past few weeks. Work through one vinyasa. Roll to the outside of the right foot, stack the left foot on top of the side plank. So I got to turn you could be here. Okay, if this feels better for you, the foot could be in front. If you're stacking the feet up, push out of the big toe mounds. Keep turning that right shoulder, rooting it back. Maybe the left hand goes up to the sky. Maybe you look up. Now breathe. Nice, y'all. Inhale, come back to plank. Push back, downward dog. So here you can see my shoulder on this one. Roll to the outside of the left foot, stack the right foot on top or front. So see, as I turn my bicep forward, that's taking my shoulder back. That's where I'm going to get the power from. Now the freedom, right, because that's always the play, power and freedom. Maybe you start to reach up. Maybe you start to look up. Maybe you soften your face. Yeah, one more breath. Stay with it. And then inhale, come back to plank. Push back, downward dog. Reach the right leg straight back. Step it through. Lunge. Exhale, lower the back knee. Slowly come up, hands to the bent knee. So in this quad stretch, there's a little bit of balance involved. All right, so you're going to have to keep hugging in. The way to keep yourself stable front to back is you're going to pull your front heel back, and you're going to feel your hamstring start to engage. Your back knee, you're going to pull forward. You're going to feel hip flexor start to engage. Side to side, you're going to hug. Even though my shins aren't next to each other, I'm hugging in. I'm like adducting and feel the insides of my thighs. Now bend that left leg, reach back with your left hand. Feel how stable you're able to hold. Because it's easy to just reach back for your foot, right? We forget this shit sometimes. And then you're choking on the mouthful of water, right? Now square yourself forward. So I want to bring my left hip forward. Yep. I'm going to try to bring my shoulders, my left shoulder forward, my right shoulder back. Belly button to spine. Now start to draw the heel towards the sit bone a little bit further. And then the way to play even further is the right arm comes in front. You plug it in, you bend your elbow. It's like you're holding your ear, like your fingers around the back of your head. Now here's your occipital. This is the top of your, like the base of your skull. You want to look up there. Hear how my voice doesn't change? If I look up low in my neck, hear that? My voice changes because I close my throat. I want to look up at that occipital. One more breath. Nice poses, y'all. Now control it as you release. Yep. Shift the hips back. Come into Hahnemann variation. So here we could be baby Hahnemann, which would be like a runner's stretch. My blocks would be here so I get that spine to come back to life. Now some of you want to start moving this leg back. So what you want to do here is, I want to hug in first. So I'm pulling the front heel back and the back knees forward. Then I lift the back knee up and move it back a little bit. Now I got to go back even more. I hug in first, and then I move my way back. Keep hugging the big toe mount in so that your toes and your kneecap are pointing straight up to the sky. They want to fall out this way. That's the misalignment, so you keep hugging in. Square that left hip forward. So we even think oblique sling would be obliques are like your side body on the left, your ribs here, to the inside of your right thigh. Yep. If you want to play further, keep working it back. Now, if you want to walk your hands forward, this is how you get into the back of that front leg a little bit more. Or if you stay up a little taller here, I feel this way more in my back leg through the hip flexors. So you just decide where you want to be. One more breath. Now, there's not like any getting cued out of this one. We just want to stay nice and safe. So push your heel down and bend the knee. Drag the foot back to you. If your mat comes with you, that's okay. Yep. Then meet all fours. Just take a breath here. And when you're ready, step back, downward dog. Reach the left leg straight back. Step it through, lunge. Exhale, lower the back knee. I was having one of those moments. I was like, what did I do before Hahnemann? What did I do? I was like, go back, think of what you would have done. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. All right, now slowly come up. See, if I come up like this, look at my belly, never leave my thigh. I did not adjust my pelvis at all, right? That's not the pose. When I come up, I want to pull my belly button in so my belly moves away from my thigh. I feel this front hip crease opening up. I want that. Now, remember what we talked about? Keep pushing down, then keep hugging forward to back, then keep hugging side to side. If you need to, I do this in Soma all the time. I'll be able to go around like poking your hamstring. Like, is this on? Right? That's what you want to feel. Then bend the knee, reach back. Yep, if you need to, you shift back this way to grab your foot. That'll help make it a little more accessible, and you can bend back into it. Then square forward. So now it's right oblique to left adductor. That's how you rotate through. That's how you hit like the X's, the T's, right? Forward and back, the X's out to the corners. Now the belly comes in, then start to draw that heel towards the sit bone. And then if you want to extend the pose, the left arm comes in front. You plug it in, you bend the elbow so the hand comes here to the side of your head, drapes the back. And then as you look up, pull the belly and the shutters closed. Look up high in the upper back. Look up high in the neck there. Makes it a little more challenging because we're doing the quad stretch. So the belly keeps trying to be pulled forward. You got to keep pulling it back. One more breath. Now control it as you release. Hands to the floor of the blocks. Shift the hips back. This Hahnemann variation. And then remember, if I want to move back, I hug in first. Now to keep a micro bend in the knee, because the knee wants to hyperextend. So don't push your knee towards the mat. You want to pull your kneecap to your waist. So the first thing you do is you push your heel down. And see, when I push my heel down, see it make my knee bend? So the more you push your heel down, the more it's going to hold this in good space for you. Now pull your heel back to you. It's going to hold that good space. Now square that left hip forward a little bit, right hip forward a little bit. Then if you want to stay tall here, you're in the back leg a little more. If you want to work the front leg, you're walking your hands forward a little bit. But look at my spine. Tadasana. What's the misalignment? So I'm not trying to look at my junk. I'm trying to look out here, front of my foot. I know I'm not going to get out there, but that's where I'm aiming. That's going to keep the spine long. Head and throat back. Let the chest come first. y'all. Now, push that front heel down, drag it back to you. Yeah, lots of ground force tensions to keep safe. We'll come to all fours. When you're ready, step back to plank, back to downward dog. Nice, y'all. And when you're ready, move through one vinyasa. Exhale, lower your knees. Take your right leg over your left. Take your feet apart. Sit back between your heels. Now, if you're a little extra tight in the back of the hip, sit up on the bolster or the blanket to help boost up. See, this is my tight spot. See how my knees want to pull apart? This is my tight spot in my hips. We're all going to have something. It's going to be your adductors, your quads, your TFL and IT band, your hamstrings, your glutes, right? One of them will be like that. So if this is where you're at, just keep hugging in or lift up. Now reach down to the bottom side, so the left, and pull your sit bone back to the wall behind you and out to the side. So 2 different actions. You'll feel like your sit bones blossomed, right? We got wider in the back body. Now sit up nice and tall. Yep. Now, we could play both. So if you want to stay in the legs and the hips, okay, you're going to hinge forward. Not this, right? Remember, chest comes first, Tadasana. What's representing Tadasana in this pose? The upper trunk, right? This isn't really Tadasana. This is in a different variation, but this still is. So I want to represent this the whole time. Now, we can hinge forward to stay in the back of the hip. If you want to work, they call this longhorn. If you want to work the cow facing, Gomukhasana, that puts the arms into it. You go left arm in front, and you plug in. And you bend your elbow, and you reach behind your back to your shoulder, like between your shoulder blades. Your right hand's going to come out to the side, and you can turn your fingernails forward. You're going to bend your elbow. You're going to walk your hand up your back till your hands clasp. Or you're going to drop the strap from your left hand into your right. Now push your head back into your forearm. It's going to feel like you can sit up nice and tall here. Yep. Now some of you are going to stay up tall. Some of you are going to go to the hinge from here. It's going to be a little bit different challenge. Play wherever feels good to you. I like pushing my head back and reaching my elbow up to the sky. That's what I go for out of this pose. I like to work in my upper back, but find where you need it to be. A couple more breaths. Now, control it. Remember the 2-second thing? This is how I come out of the pose. What wants to happen? Boing, right? Unwind that top leg. Swap side 2. So see, because I'm a little tighter here in the back of my hip, when I start out, when I cross my legs, I wedge the front of this right thigh nice and tight into the back of this left thigh. See where I'm starting? It's like nice and tight here. I know it's going to pull apart, so I just try to get it in there as deep as I can. Now I take the feet apart, and as I sit back, see, I could hold the space a little bit better. Feel how your left sit bone's trying to float off the floor, so you're going to grab your right side, pull it back and out, and then when you do that to the left will get closer to the floor. You'll feel like it can root. And then we just take a few breaths. Look for my feet. I'm trying to represent Tadasana here. What wants to happen? This sickle. So I'm going to try to push out of the big toe mound and pull the pinky toe side of the foot back. Yep. And then that's going to give me more power to hug in. Then remember, you can go into a little bit of a hinge here. Wherever you want to work the Gomukhasana, the right arm comes. It's opposite. So if your left knee is up, your right elbow has to be up, right? Because if we did this, it'd be heavy on the one side. Here's where the balance is going to happen. So then left goes out, the fingernails forward, bend the elbow, start to walk it up. Their left arm, your left shoulder, you're not getting any more out of that. That's the end range of motion, of movement. The way to get deeper in this pose is to go this way with your, like you're taking your shoulder back or your shoulder blade to the wall behind you. And that's going to start to get you deeper, like your hands closer. This one's done, right? It doesn't go any further than that. And then if you want to fold, or you want to sit up tall, wherever you want to play. A couple more breaths. Nice, y'all. Then watch the boing. Remember the 2 seconds. Unwind the legs. All fours. And then just reach one leg back. Open up the knee and the hip a little bit here. Take a couple breaths. Pull those bellies in. Pull those shoulders close. spin back around, seated position. Bend your right leg. Bring your left foot to either the crease of your elbow, or you're going to take your right hand underneath your ankle and your left hand underneath your calf. See how I could sit up taller here? Right? As compared to this one's going to be a little more challenging, especially for us that are tighter in the back of the hip. What wants to happen to my foot? The sickle. What do I got to do? Tadasana. So push out of the big toe mound and pull the pinky toe side of your foot back. That changes shit, right? Just that little bit. But here's where we need to work. These are the furthest away from the connection, right? So when these energies are dull, they're going to be hard to hold up. This shit's kind of close to a connection, right? So it's going to be a little bit different. So when you hug in, keep all this active. Spread your toes. Yep, even here, work your hands like, yeah. Now the leg can go side to side, baby cradle. And then if you want to stay here, open up the back of the hip, stay here. You want to work the arm balance, Astavakrasana. You're going to lift your left leg up and you're going to take it high on your arm. So see, I'm up towards the top of my arm here. Now I'm going to squeeze my arm between my leg, otherwise it's going to slide off. Now I'm going to place my hands down, just like downward dog. How I've been placing them the whole day. Here's some abs. Right ankle over left, feet to the outside of the hand. Now bend both elbows. You're going to wedge the inside of the thigh on that left leg to the back of this left arm. But look at my arms. They're both bent. This is what I tend to see in this pose. This, locking out that right arm. Bend the right arm. You're trying to bring your elbow and your shoulders to the same height. Like chaturanga, right? And I squeeze. Then release the leg. Pull the knee towards the elbow. Hinge. Right? So see, I'm hinging here. I'm going to take my front leg forward and my back leg back. Now the coming back is a whole different ball game, right? But we're going to go with this today, right? Watch. That'll go through. All right, let's swap side two. So Astavakrasana, I know it seems like one of those crazy arm balances because it looks kind of pretzel-y, but it's really not. It's meant to be more in Anusara yoga, which is where we all came from before Anusara had his scandal and shit like that, right? But there's 3 syllabuses, okay? This is on syllabus 1. The most accessible. It just looks like one of those crazy arm balances, right? So there's a lot you can learn from this because it's low to the ground, right? That's what makes it more accessible. So if you're new to arm balances, this is a good place to start. But remember, if you've never tried it before and you went to like this today, right? That's success for the day. You've never been here before, right? So don't get wrapped up in the end. Get wrapped up in the trip, right? The trip's the best part. So let's swap. Like yoga already took all that anxiety out of it. It was like, all we're going to do is practice, right? And I tell you all the time, you'll work hard for some shit, right? It'll be 6 months. And you'll do it, and yoga's going to be like, great job, here's something else. Not impressed, right? Like impressed but not impressed. Because that's the idea. It's just a practice. You just keep working. But that's the cool part about it. Now we stay here. One of the cool parts. If you want to go, lift up, arm goes under, I squeeze. I place both hands down like downward dog. I take my left ankle over my right, and I take my feet to the outside of my hands. I bend both elbows, and I squeeze my legs together. So I'm lifting my hip up off the floor by squeezing my legs. I'm adducting, right? I'm squeezing this way. Yeah, yes. Go ahead, Nat, put it back. Yes. Yes, there it goes. See the link coming back in? Yes, yes. Nice. So I go knee to elbow. I hinge, bend my elbows more. Now, see how I'm kind of rocking here? I'm settling into the arm balance. This isn't arm strength work, right? This is arm balance. The more I get the weight to balance, the easier that shit is, right? That's supposed to be the idea. Easier said than done? Of course. How do you, to get out of what?
Because when you're in it, and then you bring the top leg like through, and then the back leg back.
So you're going from adduction to abduction, right? So we're coming from in. I always think of Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man. You're adding to your score. Adduction, right? Abduction is out. So you're in flexion, okay, because your hip is bent, right? Then we're going to come out of it and we're going to work extension. So it's a play between adduction and flexion versus abduction and extension.
So is it like you're going from like there to like there?
Yes. Yeah. So you got to go into that split. When you do the split, what does it do? It sends the X's. Here's the T's, right? It sends X and X. So think like you're going to where the walls meet, right? That's the abduction, and that's where you're going to find the balance. Does that make sense? I mean, that's a deep thought. That's not Yoga 101. Now we're talking human movement and shit, right? But like most of y'all know, that's where I teach from. Right? I teach from human movement. That's why the practices are like they are, because I try to turn on some of the things for y'all that I know or tend to be turned off, right? Does that make sense? Kind of, yeah, I know. It gets deeper. It gets deeper. All right, so let's go. So I think we can go up. All right, so why don't we grab our mats, find a spot on the wall. Those of you who do inversion in the middle of the room, stay in the middle of the room. Those of you who want to find the wall, you can come up front here. The curtains can move. The door is up for grabs. I can move those blankets up here. Again, if you're in the middle of the room, feel free to work in the middle of the room, okay? If you're going to do downward dog and L pose, we're just going to stay underneath the lights. But if we're going to go handstand or headstand, make sure you give yourself a little bit of room away from the lights. There'll be plenty of room. I've had 50 plus up in here, so there's plenty of room. If you're at home and you don't have the wall to kick up on, you can always lay on your back, bend your knees, interlace your hands behind your thigh, reach that heel to the sky, take a bunch of breaths, and then we can swap the side too. If you are at home or in the studio, it's not your day to invert. You're always welcome to go legs up the wall or do a pose that feels good to you, okay? There'll be plenty of room. You're going to go like a little closer, but it's all right. The top leg goes back. The bottom leg is going to go forward. So like if I'm here, this top leg is the one that's going to pull this way. This would be the top foot.
Okay, so that's the top. Okay, so where the top foot goes under your body.
Yeah, to my elbow.
Got it.
And then this one, then as I tilt, this is going to go to like that way, and this is going to go to like that way.
That's the hard part about it.
Yeah. That's the challenge. So we're talking about like kind of feeding through. Like that's kind of the challenge, is really pushing down and getting that lift. But what's the strength? Stabilization in your hip flexors. That's why like we stretch a lot of hip flexors in yoga. That's why I try to make you feed the leg through a lot, because we got to strengthen these muscles up too, right? We do a lot of stretching of hip flexors in yoga, but we got to strengthen. All right, so if you're going to stick with me, all fours, hands and knees, feet are touching the wall. If you're going to go on your own, headstand, handstand, tripod, pincha maya, go for it, okay? So from all fours, build it up just like you did before. When you're ready, lift the knees and the hips, come to a short downward dog, step one foot up the wall, and then the second foot up the wall. If your knees are bent, you're in downward dog inverted. If your legs are straight, you're in L pose. Play wherever feels good to you. Nice, y'all. I'll have to tell you. I'm sorry. That's the problem sometimes with the mat. So check it out. Here's handstand, okay? So walk your shoulders forward so they stack up on top of your wrists. There you go. Now step your one foot in a little bit and pick a spot on your mat that you're going to stare at. Yeah, now kick your hips up to the sky. Yeah. Now bring that right. So the right leg was hanging back, right here. We just talked about this. So this is how I tend to teach handstand with you. I teach it through the hips, from flexion to extension, okay? Because the idea is that we're going from this, right, to this. Okay? So what muscles are doing this? You're doing your hamstring. right? That's what's extending the hip. That's why we do all this shit, right? We're trying to get these muscles to turn on. So when you go to kick up, you walk forward so your shoulders stack up on top of your wrist, and you don't want to step up too far, because if you step up too far, your legs are going to make your arms bend, right? Because it's going to be too much power for them. So you just want to step in that little bit. Now, I pick a spot. Let's say there's like a little spot right here that I'm going to stare at, because that's going to like set my equilibrium. So it's going to let me feel like I'm in control a little bit more, right? Because I have something to focus on. Then when I go to kick up, right, I take a breath, and my inhale, it's called your kidney area, so you're kind of really feeling in the low back. Right, I'm getting this all set. Then when I kick up, I exhale. So I kick up this way. Now, see this leg here? That leg's still in flexion. I got to get that to go to extension. So I got to go this way. Boom. Like I'm kicking that heel up. And when I kick that heel up, that's where the handstand comes from. Right? My hips up to the sky. But that's because I'm working. Dude, where's the big muscles? Where's the biggest muscle? Got to work that shit, right? That's what we got to play with. So try that. Give that a go. Shoot that back leg like heel up to the sky, hips up to the ceiling. That's where you're going to get the power from. Yeah. Kick that back leg up. Shit, yeah. Now remember, it's going to be fast. Yeah, because you're going to get a lot of power with those big prime movers. Right? They're called prime movers for a reason. They are the ones that are going to have all that power to them. That's why they hold you up all day, right? Do these hold you up all day? No. Right? You're lucky to get a minute out of these things. And they need all their friends in the game on top of it. These, that's their job. That's what they do. Yeah. Now, when you're first trying this, you're probably over-engaging it, right? Because you're learning how to do it. You've got to figure out how to settle all that. It's not always fifth gear pedal to the metal. Sometimes it's second gear. Music's on, windows down, right? You're cruising. That's what you got to figure out, how much I need to put into it. So let's stay about another 30 seconds or so. Take your time. Yeah. See, now what I'm seeing in a lot of these kick-ups are this power that's happening through the legs and the hips. This float that's happening through the hips. Because remember, what's yoga asking you? To be as calm upside down as you are in Tadasana, in mountain pose. That's a hell of a challenge. But that's just what the game is asking right now. Nice, y'all. Beautiful. So after this, give yourself maybe one more time, another 10 seconds or so if you're about to kick up and it's feeling right. Otherwise, let's meet on our backs. Watch, 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 watch. Heads up, heads up. You okay? You all right? Okay. It happens, yeah. All right, let's meet on our backs. So, supported bridge is where you take the block, and we tend to go low and medium, but I know some of you will do high, okay? So where you want to go. If you want to do supported bridge, you take the block here at your sacrum. Your sacrum is like this solid part of your pelvis, the top of your pelvis. Your sit bones will be like the bottom, right? So here's that sacrum. You put the block right here. Where your crack is, too low. Where your lumbar spine is, too high, right in that solid spot. So I take the block here. So here's high, right? If I was to take it up high, you could see this is going to be a little more challenging for me. But see how I can take my shoulders under real deep? And I got this nice support through my pelvis so my low back stays nice and safe. I can work my shudders, and I can really feel a lot here. When I need my deepest back bend, it's not wheel. It's right here, supported bridge. This is where I get my true deepest back bend from. That's me, right? So it's because I got all the support. Now, if you want to stay in supported bridge, stay here. If you want to work bridge and wheel, I'm going to talk you through. So if you're up, stay up. If you're in bridge, you want to do bridge. We're starting down, knees are bent, feet are on the floor. You feel your heels with your fingertips. That gets the knees to stack up on top of the ankles. And you're going to start with a neutral pelvis. So that means the sacrum is flat. It should be touching the floor. Your head and shoulders are back. You can even bend your elbows like this, called robot. This is going to give you a little more support in the upper back. Now charge the legs up just like we've done all day. We're sweeping, we're pushing down. We're sweeping the inner heels out. We're hugging the shins in. We're pulling our heels to our butt. Belly works the spine. Shutters closed. When you're ready, slowly lift the hips.
Take the shoulders under a little bit deeper. Keep the power in the legs here. Back bends are 90% legs and 10% back bend. So work the legs here. Keep the knees working in towards one another. If you lift your butt too high, if you squeeze your butt too much and lift your hips too high, your knees are going to go apart. That's the exact opposite way. So make sure you're not lifting too far, but high enough. Then keep internal rotation happen. So think the inner thighs are working down towards the mat. Maybe take the shoulders under a little bit deeper. One more breath. Now stay engaged as you lower down. When you lower, belly to spine, sit bones towards your heels. See if you get the sacrum to land flat. And then take the feet wide, let the knees touch. One hand on your heart, one hand on your low belly. Full breath in, complete breath out. On Thursdays, I'm on the mat, so I talk about this a lot because I'm practicing with everybody. But for me, this is like one of my favorite parts of the practice, of class. Because we are literally flipping energy, right, upside down. We did inversions, now we're doing back bends. And you can feel that. You can feel like that spunda and the vibration, the energy just working through your body. Let's do one more. Inhale, open the knees, reset the feet. Bring the arms along the sides. I'll first talk you into bridge, and then those of you who want to go to wheel, I'll take you up into wheel. So start nice and neutral. Start to engage. When you're ready, slowly lift the hips. Take the shoulders under a little deeper. Now stay here if you want to stay here. If you want to go wheel, place your hands wide to the edges of your mat. You're going to turn your hands out. When you turn your hands out, your elbows are going to come in line with your shoulders. We want that. Hands out, elbows in. Now plug your shoulders back. And when you're ready, push down to come up. You can lift your heels up to lengthen that curve a little bit. You can pump your heart towards the chest. Your chest towards the wall you're looking at. And it'll slide the shoulders on the back. One more breath. And then stay engaged as you lower down. You need to get that sacrum to land flat. Take the feet wide, let the knees touch. If your right hand was on your heart, left hand on your heart, and then opposite hand on your belly. And then open the knees and windshield wiper side to side. All right, it's a great feeling right now in class. That's true balance, right? As we take some of these poses, they take us into the other side. And then come to neutral. Hug your knees into your chest. Maybe give yourself a little hug or make a couple small circles. Keep the right knee in. Take the left leg out. Lower the back of the thigh to the floor. Roll towards your left hip for the twist. Keep the right shoulder rooted down. The belly's in, the shutters are closed. If you have any neck issues and twists, you just let your head stay in line with your chest. If you want to look away from the bent knee and that's comfortable in your neck, go for it. You could look out the extended arm or out away from your knees. And then inhale, come back to center. Hug the left knee in. Then take the right leg out. Keep hugging into the big toe mound side as you lower the back of the thigh to the floor. And then roll towards the right hip. Reconnect to the belly and the shutter so we don't manipulate ribs. We twist and rotate the spine here. That's what we're looking for. Manipulation's easy. It's the path of least resistance. We want to really, twisting is so important to us. It's the X's. Right? That's what we've been talking about a lot today, from a physical standpoint, the X's, that's what I'm talking about. Way more important to us than parallel parking, right? Well beyond that. It's the way your body functions. Inhale, come back to center. Take the legs out straight, reach the arms up overhead. Spread the fingers, spread the toes. Hug the knees to your chest, rock yourself up. So here we could play with that. Another little arm balance. We'll do half Lord of the Fishes.
and then I'll show you how to come out of that, right? We do that once in a while. So bend your right leg, take your left leg over the top. So we're in this position here. What did I say? Left leg over? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking at this circle and I'm trying to mirror y'all, so I just want to make sure I'm on the correct side. So now, sit up tall. You're going to take your left hand behind you, and your right bent elbow goes to the outside of the knee. Yep. You want to root down into those sit bones, and you want to sit up tall. Because from the waist down below, right, we want to peel above. Then we can start to twist to that up knee side. Spin that left shoulder back. Yep. So before we were in Ekapada Kunyasana 2, okay, where the legs were going out. We could do Ekapada Kunyasana 1, the legs switch. So you'll see like the bottom leg is going to go forward. It's going to go forward and back, but the legs are going to switch from top to bottom. So if you want to stay here, stay here. If you want to work the pose, I come out of the twist just a little bit. I place my hands down just like downward dog. I lift my hips up. Look at the back of my leg, right? It's going to go to the back of my arm. So I come up here. Now I'm going to kick the bottom leg forward and the top leg back. Yep, lift your hips up. Yes, hips up higher. Yep, yep, yep. Kick the front leg towards me. Yeah, and that's the deal. You got to try to get that thigh up above the elbow, right? Yep, front leg to me. Yes, 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 yes. There it is. Nice. Awesome. All right, unwind wherever you're at. We'll swap side 2. Remember, arm balance, not arm strength, right? 2 totally different things. Take the leg over. Reach down if you need to, just like we did before. Pull the bottom side first, then the top. Keep pushing down the big toe mound. Then the right hand goes behind you. Remember the oblique sling? Here it is. Obliques on my left to adductor on my right. I twist across. Yep. Then sit up tall. Yep. Spin that right shoulder back. Spread your fingers here. Remember, furthest from connection. This is dull weight. This is energy that I can't control. This I have full control over. And keep sitting up to make the space, and then keep twisting into the space. Yep. Then if you're going to stay here with the twist, awesome. You're going to work the arm balance, it's the same awesome. So you're going to unwind halfway. See how I make sure that my elbow is well below here, so my knee's higher, up towards like the middle of my arm. Then I bring my hands to the floor. I got to lift my hips up. This is challenging for me because that's my tight spot. I'm kicking the bottom leg forward and then the top leg back. Yep. Yep. Yes. Nice, y'all. And then when you're ready, unwind, come out of it, take your legs out straight, and then lay flat back. Reach the arms up overhead. Spread your fingers, spread your toes. And hug the knees to the chest. Take those knees wide, come to happy baby. And then just gently rock side to side. Or reach one leg out or both legs out, whatever feels good. The sacrum should be flat to the floor. So see, if I hold my feet, sometimes this wants to happen where my butt's trying to fly to the sky. So I let go of my feet and I hold like the outside of my knees or my shins. That could bring my sacrum flat. Then my knees go nice and wide, so they're wider than my shoulders. And I want to draw my knees back towards my ears. Couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, inhale the knees to center. Exhale the legs out straight. We'll take Shavasana. Beautiful practice, girl. Feel free to add or remove layers or props. I'm going to talk everyone through laying flat, but you're more than welcome to do a variation. Variations for hip flexors could be either your blocks or you roll up the blanket and you put it behind your knees like this. It'll put a little crease in your hip. If you're going to do Baddha Konasana, which is this one, where your knees are out to the side, take the blocks and put them here on the outside of your thighs so that we're not stressing the attachments. We're just letting the legs gently stay open. Some of you want to do a heart bench. You can always set up a heart bench. So here, as we lay back, bring the arms along the sides. Let the legs stretch out and the feet gently roll open. As the arms come along the sides and the palms turn to the sky, let the shoulders settle back. Let your head rest back. Maybe we let our eyes close. We let the tongue soften from the roof of the mouth. We let the body get heavy. Let the mind soften. Turns back to the breath. We let the heart open as it gets ready to move the practice into the yoga of life. Move us into the next challenge. And in yoga, we're blessed that it's fun and the hard work that we do is enjoyable. But in the yoga of life, the challenges aren't always the same. But we're going to treat it and we're going to work on it just like we did on the mat. We're going to take a breath. And then we're going to set our foundation and we're going to engage so that when we express, it'll be the best that we can in that moment. And the most beautiful part is, with each breath, there's a new moment, a new opportunity. And we remember, we set those foundations, we root, so that as we grow and we rise, it's strong, it's powerful, it's going to give us the support that we need. Begin here to draw in a deeper breath. Feeling the breath as it washes over your body, from your toes to your fingers, the crown of your head to your heart. We reawaken a better version of ourselves, prepared and ready for whatever challenge comes next. As that connection grows, maybe let the fingers and the toes wiggle. As it continues, maybe let the arms and the legs stretch, or reach, or move in a way that feels good to you. Taking your time, moving slowly. When you're ready, you can hug your knees to your chest and just roll to the right side. You can take a couple breaths here, and when you're ready, you can push your hands down. We'll all meet in a seated position with our eyes closed and our hands in front of our hearts. Take your time. Give yourself that chance to reacclimate. The place we started, the place we practice, the place we finish. And how we always move the yoga from the mat to the steps of our life. So with that full and open, empowered, strengthened heart. One more time together to seal in our practice. Together the sound of Om. All together, deep breath in. Beautiful. As we softly bow our head to our hearts, our heads to each other's hearts. For all of that hard work and that determination, that challenge, the love and the support you always give each other, it's to you that I bow. Namaste. Thanks, crew. Good to see everybody. You know, if you have any questions or anything, get me before you go. Home crew, you know, if you need me, you know how to get me. I'll see y'all soon. Maybe next week I'm back to my normal schedule, so I'll see y'all then. If not, I'll see you soon. Thanks, y'all.
The stretches you recommended, they definitely helped.
They helped?
Yeah. I mean, today I could feel it, but it wasn't the pain I said.
Yeah. It'll only get better.
Yeah.
It was, you know, like, well, try to think it didn't happen in a week.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away in a week, right? It'll get better, but it's not going to go away, right? So just keep trying and doing those, and I think you'll get like a lot of relief out of that. I mean, and knowing your practice and how your kind of body moves and stuff like that.
Yeah.